Today I'm making this fancy skirt. I got nowhere to wear it, but I thought it would be fun to make. It's gonna be like that skirt, but patterned. All fancy and cool and difficult. First I'm gonna make my pattern. Going into this skirt, I thought it was gonna be super easy, and it would have been if I had thought ahead any amount of time. I tend to just wing stuff. Usually works out, but there's risk. I had a general plan based on my fabric, and that was to make a paneled skirt with all the patterns matching up. This was maybe a little optimistic to think I could do this. I've never actually made a paneled skirt before, and I decided not to buy a pattern, which might have been the smart thing to do. At this point in the process, I know I'm doing this wrong, and I'm too lazy to care. So I just kept going along with this, but don't do that. Here's my fancy fabric. I'm gonna have it so the panels line up so the pattern lines up. This was very difficult to do, and I do not recommend it. My original thought was to make a half circle skirt, so I'd need about 6 panels, and I cut all those out from the fabric all in the same place on the pattern. So I used my first piece that I cut out as like a guide and set it on top and then cut around it for all the other pieces. This took a frustratingly long amount of time. My fabric kept on falling onto the floor because it's super slippery, and I kept on having to reposition and refigure out how to cut out these pieces, and I had to buy so much fabric because of the pattern. It was a mess. This fabric is also insanely slippery. It's kind of miserable to work with. I do not recommend. I got it from Mood. It's so pretty, but oh my god, is it awful to work with. So now I'm just lining up 2 of my panels, and I'm gonna baste along that side to keep it in place while I serge. And I'm gonna do that to attach every panel, leaving one end open. My first plan was to serge all the seams, and this was a mistake. I guess I'm not experienced enough, and the fabric was way too slippery, and I just ended up ruining it. I really thought I could do it with the serger. Turns out, I was wrong. I ended up giving up and using the regular sewing machine. Once I sewed all the seams without ruining the skirt, I cut out my lining fabric by just laying my pattern fabric on top, and then I'm going to attach the 2 together at the waistband and at the bottom hem. As you can see, my bottom hem is looking a little rough, so I just tried to make it as nice as I could. This is when a good pattern would have been really helpful. I used a little bit of interfacing to reinforce the waistband since I didn't have a separate one, and I wanted it to all be one piece. My waistband wasn't really sitting where I wanted it to, so I do an understitch, which is stitching the seam allowance to the lining fabric, so that way the lining fabric doesn't peek out over top of the waistband. Now the zipper. I had to wait a while to order my invisible zipper foot for my machine. It only takes a specific one, so I ordered this one online, and I've never done an invisible zipper before, so I struggled quite a bit with this. I also ordered very fine pins, so I could pin the zipper to my fabric without worrying about holes in the fabric. The zipper surprisingly went pretty fast. I thought I would struggle more with it, and I did struggle, but I did well enough.
Coming back to me, my heart is hung up on what used to be. Time moves on and then
What I would change, basically everything. Just get a pattern. That's my advice. Don't be like me, just get a pattern. Just get a pattern.